Ah, man, oh man, oh man. Yes, sir. We are live once again on the Daily Devo Live. Welcome to Monday, July 20th. Who knew that we would still be quarantined July 20th, way back in March? I was thinking about that the other day. I was thinking about when we first went into quarantine, we first went into all the shutdown and everything, and everybody was like at home, the stay-at-home orders, shelter in place, all that stuff. That I remember going outside and it was cold outside. Like it was still kind of chilly outside. You know, we had a couple days where it was like cold and rainy. I even had a fire in the fireplace one day. That's how long ago it was. Woo! Man, oh man. Here we go. So, yes, sir. Those of you who tuned in early, you get a special treat. Because I'm gonna I've been watching Hamilton, y'all. I've watched Hamilton. I saw it live in Chicago. It was fantastic. I was hooked. I started listening to the soundtrack. And then when Disney Plus put it out for widespread consumption, I started watching it again then. So I keep coming back. I keep watching different things, and I ordered a book. I'm so excited. It's about like the inside stuff, like how Hamilton was created, and so hopefully that'll get here soon, so I can take a look at that and start reading that. It's all about creativity, really. Lin-Manuel Miranda is probably one of the most creative and brilliant dudes around, and he's just like a total geek. Like, just loves comic book stuff, and was totally geeked out to be in Mary Poppins Returns. I mean, just all the things. I mean, he's just amazing fellow. And that entire cast was fantastic. But my favorite part, it's not like my favorite part. I mean, I have lots of favorite parts, but my one favorite part is King George. King George, played by Jonathan Groff, who is also he was in the movie, or he's in the television show Mindhunter, which is a sort of, based on actual events, kind of the creation of the BAU, the Behavioral Analysis Unit for the FBI. And he plays the main character in that. He's been in a ton of other movies. He was in a movie I was watching the other night, and I was like, oh, it's Jonathan Groff. Fantastic. But anyway, he's a great actor, and he plays King George, and he sings a wonderful song that I will now sing to you. I'm not going to sing the whole thing, but I will sing some of it. You say the price of my love's not a price that you're willing to pay. You cry in your tea, which you hurl in the sea when you see me go by. Why so sad? Remember we had an arrangement when you went away. Now you're making me mad. Remember, despite our estrangement, I'm your man. You'll be back. Soon you'll see. You'll remember you belong to me. See, there you go. You got a special treat. You got to hear Leon sing without the benefit of backing music or anything. And I'm not sure if that's a treat at all, but that's it. King George the Moist. If you ever want to watch a fantastic movie, it's the movie called The Madness of King George, and it is wonderful. At any rate, I think it's Nigel. I can't remember his last name. He's an accomplished British actor. He plays King George, and pretty amazing. So I will look it up just so I can see. The Madness of King George. It's a wonderful. Oh my gosh! It had Helen Mirren. And let's see who else was in it. Helen Mirren. I forgot that she was in that movie. That is fantastic. The cast. Let's see. Nigel Hawthorne. Come on now. And Ian Holm. Ian Holm plays, I think, the character that Francis Willis, who helps him sort of get back, to his self. And so he had like a strange disease, acute intermittent porphyria. But anyway, it actually that's what they thought, but because his pee was actually blue, which is weird. But at any rate, he actually did have a mental disorder, and so he went mad, and the Queen basically ran things for a while. I mean, it was kind of pretty crazy. So at any rate, if you want to watch a fantastic movie, The Madness of King George, which is why in the "You'll Be Back" lyrics, he says, at some point he says it, right? He goes, "You'll be back like before. I will fight the fight and win the war for your love, for your praise, and I'll love you till my dying days." And then he goes, "When you're gone, I'll go mad." And so if you've ever wondered why it says that, that's why it says it, because King George did go mad. And that, was, I think a lot of people believe that some of the stress of losing the colonies and all of those kinds of things because of his intractability, and just, kind of his pride and so forth, that all kind of caved in on him, and he went crazy. But it's a good movie. It's wonderful. I would highly recommend it. Okay, so hey everybody, now that we've started off with some Hamilton, oh my gosh, I have to tell you, there is a person who has done. I got to switch my glasses if I can find them. There's a person who has done an amazing thing. They actually did. This guy recorded the entire first act of Hamilton as the Muppets. It is so great, man. It is so great. And like Gonzo plays Aaron Burr, Beaker plays one of the guys, and all he does is meek, 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 meek. It's so great. It's brilliant. And so Kermit the Frog. Kermit the Frog plays Hamilton, and you know the part where it says, "What's your name, boy?" And he goes, "My name is Alexander Hamilton. My name is Alexander Hamilton. And there's a million things I haven't done, but just you wait, just you wait." It was so great, man. I was laughing my butt off. It was just wonderful. If you ever get a chance to watch that or like listen to it, it's only on recording because he didn't do any video of it. But that was pretty good, right? That was a pretty good Kermit the Frog as Hamilton. I am multi-talented, man. At least I'll have something to sort of fall back on if this whole pastor thing doesn't work out. I could do impressions. Oh man. Okay. Enough frivolity for the moment. So we got a busy week this week. There's going to be all kinds of things going on. Hey, there's my friend Cindy Tietzel. Cindy Tietzel is on this morning. Cindy and I worked together 100 years ago. And Ann, you remember Cindy. Cindy went with us on our Mexico trip and was part of South Lake Presbyterian Church. And her kids are all grown up now. She's got like at least one grandkid, I know. Yeah, Cindy and I worked together. She was the children's director of the church where I was first ordained in 2005. And so it's good to see you. Good to see you on today. So we got fantastic things happening this week. It's going to be a very, very busy, crazy week. I'm going to be recording a podcast this week with Pastor Daryl Horton. He and I are working out our schedules. That's going to happen. If you haven't had a chance to listen to those podcasts, I really recommend doing that. It's the Pastor Cast. You can find it on iTunes, real easy. And I'll even make it easier for you because that is the kind of guy I am. Let's see here. Man, I've got the coughs today. Must have the COVID. It's nothing to joke about. Sadly. Oh, man. But yeah, let me get that onto the Facebook Live, into the comments. I love you too, Cindy. I miss you. I miss seeing you. It's been a really long time. And there we go. There's the podcast. If you would like to subscribe to it, which I would greatly appreciate that would make me among the happiest of all human beings. Then you can subscribe to it, and then you'll get all the new episodes as they come in. But the episodes that I've been doing the past 4 have been really, really good, I think. And it wasn't because of me. It was because of the people that I was interviewing. So I'm going to be interviewing Pastor Daryl Horton. He's the associate pastor of Mount Zion Baptist Church here in Austin, Texas. And then after that, I'm going to be interviewing Jen and Ashton Cumberbatch, who are both activists here in Austin. Jen is an artist and has done some amazing things. And I'm going to tell you all about how you can be a part of what she's doing and support her artistic endeavors. And she's done some great work to help bring the history of Austin in terms of just the history of race in Austin and all the things to life, to actual life. And it's been pretty amazing, the things that she's been able to do. So I'm going to interview them, hopefully, here pretty soon. So that's going to be cool. And then we also have our Wednesday night class on conversations about race, and we'll be continuing that this week. Those have been super awesome and super productive, and I've really been excited about that. Also, I don't think we have. I mean, we have other things coming up. I don't have anything on top of my head. I am not preaching this Sunday, which is kind of cool for me. Because I get a little bit of a break this week. In terms of the break, I don't miss preaching. I love preaching. I love being able to preach on Sunday mornings, but I will be there. So I'll be there doing my thing. I'll do all the other things. Pastor Britt is going to be preaching, and she's going to be ending our sermon series, Focus. And then we are going to be starting a brand new sermon series that's going to begin in August. Super excited about that. And let me see when that exact date is. Let's go through it. All right. So Pastor Britta's got the last one, and Pastor Britta's going to be preaching on Revelation chapter 21, and she's really pumped about that and excited to preach on that passage. And it's all about how the story ends in hope. That we can look at the end of the book and see that the story ends well. And so we can have hope in that. Then starting on August 2nd, we're going to be starting a brand new sermon series called Indescribable. And so right from the start, we see God's indescribable creativity, and everything around us gives us a glimpse of God's creative impulses. And as image bearers of God, we are given the opportunity to live into our God-given creativity to embody God's kingdom to the world around us. I actually just read what I wrote because that made more sense than me trying to explain it. But it's about creativity. It's about how God creates, and it's within God to long to create. The creativity of God is endless and indescribable, and we are given the opportunity to co-create with God and to share God's story, to share God's light, and to have divine purpose, and to be creative with others. And this is a good timing, I think, for that kind of a sermon series, because we need to start being creative. We need to start thinking outside the box. We need to start realizing that God is doing new things, and it's happening right now in real time all around us, and we can be a part of it. Or we can go and, retreat into our corner and hope that it'll go away. But it ain't going away, y'all. But I am also super excited about the fall, which is right around the corner, believe it or not. And we're going to be doing a sermon series in the fall. I'm going to give you all a little bit of a preview. Since you tune in with me every day, you get to see and hear a little bit of the stuff that's going on that nobody else will until it happens. But we're going to do a series called Rebel, and it's about the sort of radical, countercultural, and rebellious symbolism of the cross. Yes, it's going to be great. I'm so excited. And we're working on a guest preacher, an African-American, I think she's a professor that is going to come and preach at our church. And so I'm excited about that. We're going to work on getting her in that month. And so I'll be preaching along with Britta that particular sermon series. And then we are going to do a sermon series in October, the very first part of October. It's just a 3-part sermon series called Isolated, Finding Joy Where You Are. And come on now, that's going to be, by the time we get into fall and all of this stuff is still going on, because my prediction is that it will be. It's going to really, it hits me as it hits all of y'all in weird ways where I realize, man, this is not going away anytime soon. That it's difficult because there's so many things that I long for. There's so many things that I wish that we could be doing. I miss so much of what I used to do. And so, and you can get isolated pretty quickly, right? Within the midst of that. And a lot of folks have been. And so we're going to do a little sermon series called Isolated, Finding Joy Where You Are. I know that's going to speak to a lot of folks. And then guess what, folks? It's going to be the eve of election. The eve of the election. And we're going to do a series called The United States of America. And it's going to be YOU, like the United States of America. And I'm going to do 2 sermons, one right before the election and one right after the election. The one right before the election is called Avoiding Election Infection. And the one afterwards is going to be Now What, right? And then in November, we're going to do a series called What's Next? And it's all about just discovering who you are in the new reality within which we live. And it's going to be about finding freedom, experiencing God, discovering your purpose, and then making a difference in the new reality that we live in, right? Because we need to reframe everything now, right? We need to reframe it. So that's what's coming up. And before you know it, it's going to be Christmas. Yep. And so at any rate, tomorrow our elders are going to be meeting, and we're going to have a conversation about what kind of announcements we're going to make regarding in-person worship for the rest of the year. We have heard from our folks. We've had, I don't know how many people responded to the survey. It wasn't everybody, but if you think about households and how most people kind of work together on these things and responded, together and had conversations, then we probably have like a couple of hundred people that responded to the survey. So we have a pretty good idea of what our congregation is thinking, what our community is pondering in terms of in-person worship and how they feel about it, and when they feel about it is more important. And so we're going to be making an announcement this week, and you'll hear all about that. And we just need to make a decision as a session, so we do it as elders. And the funny thing is, no matter what you say, right, it could change. So we always have the freedom to walk things back. Whatever we decide to do, we can walk that back and change it, depending on kind of what happens in the world around us. And of course, everything changes so quickly right now; it's pretty crazy. So it could be that, all of a sudden, there's a breakthrough. I heard that there's a scientist in the UK who is very close to a vaccine and working for the company AstraZeneca. And she's already gotten into human trials and is getting very, very close. So it could be within the next few months we would have a vaccine, and I have a feeling that, and AstraZeneca has already said that they will distribute that vaccine, at almost no cost, which is very cool of them. And there's other companies and other organizations and other groups that are working on it, because not every strain of COVID is the same, right? So we're seeing that as well. So I'm going to be hopeful that things are going to turn out, but it could be a very different Christmas experience for all of us this year. And we're gonna work hard as a church. We're gonna create opportunities for people to be able to see one another safely, but not maybe outside. So we're working on that. We're working on some fellowship opportunities that we can do where people can get to see each other. I think Holy Smokes is something that's on the table that we might be able to do that, but it would be like more of a drive-through kind of thing, and be able to come and to do some stuff. But yeah, it was fantastic being able to be at the church. I missed the big rush. Because I was coming back from playing golf and I had to shower because I stank like the dickens, because I sweated just about every drop of fluid out of my body. It was so blinking hot. And then by the time I got home and I got showered and I got there, it was like a few minutes afterwards. And so a lot of people were early birds, man. They showed up, got their masks early, but there were quite a lot of folks that came afterwards, and it was great to see everybody. It was great to see folks I haven't seen in almost 5 months, and to see them in person and to say hello, and wearing our masks, being safe. Some folks had little grabbers that they reached out to give us gifts. So thank you to Amy and Jonathan Slaughter for the cookies they gave, which I didn't need, but I ate anyway because I had a lot of extra points this weekend. And for Randy and Patty Riggs, who gave some awesome crackers to us. So we were blessed. So thank you guys for all of that. And it was wonderful to see everybody. So it made me realize, and I think Beth and I have been talking, our senior director of worship arts, we've been talking about also doing some alternative worship opportunities. And before that, though, I think we might have a class on contemplative prayer that's going to be happening. Maybe we're working out the details on that. I am going to be doing a class in the fall. I haven't decided what, but it's going to be on Wednesdays, like I've been doing. And so we'll be doing a class of some kind. And so I'm working on that as well. So we're going to be doing all kinds of things. There's all kinds of stuff that we're going to do. We're going to try to see if we can get people together as safely as we can outside, social distance, but at least be able to see each other. I saw one of our deacons at the church the other day when I went I was dropping something off or picking something up from before I went to a funeral. I did a funeral on Saturday, and Laura Gore was there at the church watering plants. And so I got to see her in person for the first time since all this happened, and that was great. The only other people that I see on a regular basis are the guys I play golf with. I mean, other than the people I see on Sunday mornings, and in person, that kind of stuff. So I've missed everybody. I miss all of y'all. I miss my congregation. I miss being there on Sundays with everyone and the energy and all of that. So there's a lot to grieve. There's a lot to grieve, I'm sure, but we'll get through it together. So today I am wearing my Los Angeles Clippers basketball jersey. This jersey is actually Paul George, number 13. So Paul George. I have another one. I have some more I'll be wearing here in a bit. At least one other jersey, and then some other stuff. So I'm a Clippers fan because of Kawhi Leonard, but I also like Paul George an awful lot. I think he's overcome a lot in his life to get where he is, and just a really good guy. And so basketball season is about to start. Baseball started. I was able to watch the sort of, they're having like some summer games. I think I don't know if they mean anything yet. But maybe they do. I have no idea. But the Cubs just got pounded by the White Sox last night, man. They were ahead 2-0, and then it ended up being like 7-2. So that was terrible. But at least I was able to watch Bird because there's no one in the stands. I mean, there's just no one. No one. Yeah, it's summer camp. They're calling it summer camp. And so the cool thing about summer camp is they're doing like a lot of crosstown stuff. So the White Sox and Cubs played, which they very rarely do because they're not in the same league. There's one is American League and the other one is National League. And so then we had the Mets and the Yankees, and so it was a good little beginning. The basketball season's about to start. That's exciting. I'm a Clippers fan because of Kawhi, and I think they have a really good shot at taking the title this year, and hopefully against the Lakers. I'm not a Lakers fan. I don't like the Lakers. I don't detest the Lakers. I just don't like them because both of the guys, when I was an Orlando Magic fan, Shaquille O'Neal, as soon as he got to be like a big deal, and we went to the NBA Finals one year with the Magic, then he bailed and went to the Lakers. And then Dwight Howard. When Dwight Howard was playing, I mean, it was a great team and, going to the playoffs and doing amazing. And then he bailed and went to the Lakers. And so then now, of course, LeBron James bailed on Cleveland and went to the Lakers, so everybody wants to live in Los Angeles. God, I mean, I guess they can afford to live well in Los Angeles. Most of us would not be able to live well in Los Angeles. But at any rate, I suppose some areas of it are pretty awesome. I do like Southern California, but anyway, so I've got a trivia question for you today. This comes to us from the movie Hoosiers, which was part of our trivia this past week that we did our trivia night. So Hoosiers was a movie that starred Gene Hackman, who plays a coach that's kind of like on his, he's kind of, it's like his last stand kind of thing, one of those old stories. So he comes to a school. It's a little school called Hickory, and they end up going to the state championship. So in the movie, Hackman has a assistant coach whose name is Shooter, and he's like a drunk, a washed up ex-player, like ex-basketball player that never made it big, but had all this promise and then ends up being the same time. So his name is Shooter. That was his nickname when he was in high school. So who played that character? Who played Shooter? That's an easy one. That's a softball, so to speak. An accomplished actor who's been in so many things, including at least one of my favorite movies and a cult movie that I used to watch all the time when I was really into David Lynch movies for a while. Back in the day, me and my buddies were all into David Lynch stuff because of Twin Peaks. And this actor also played the one of the roles in one of David Lynch's movies. I'm not going to give you any more hints, man. Come on, is there anybody out there? I mean, somebody's got to get this, right? Anyone? Who played the character Shooter in Hoosiers? If I don't hear from anyone, I'm going to just give it to you. Wow. I can't believe he's past writer with yep, there you go, Dennis Hopper. Awesome. Yep, the Easy Rider was the movie that he was in with Peter Fonda, right? Peter Fonda and Easy Rider. He was Dennis Hopper. So Dennis Hopper was also in one of my favorite movies, which is Apocalypse Now, which was based on the Joseph Conrad story, Heart of Darkness, and that was shot by Francis Ford Coppola. And he plays a character in that movie. He's a photographer that ends up, kind of being indoctrinated by Kurtz, who's played by Marlon Brando. He's like, he has that famous line. He's like, he just cornered me and he said, "Hey man, do you know that if is the middle word in life?" Yeah. So Dennis Hopper is the character, is the actor that played Shooter. And he was in the movie Blue Velvet. Blue Velvet, which was the movie I was referring to, the David Lynch movie, plays a really crazy character in that movie, which is what he played a lot. He played a lot of crazy characters. He was in the movie Speed. Remember that? He was the bomber in the movie Speed that had like the messed up hand and stuff. So he was the crazy bomber in that movie too. Okay. All right. Fun stuff. Good job, guys. All right. So here we go. Tomorrow will be more basketball trivia. And I try to make it where it's not obscure so that at least you can, even if you're not a basketball fan, that it's accessible. So we'll do something else next tomorrow. Okie dokie. Today's Daily Devo is entitled Ubuntu. Ubuntu. So over the past week, most major retailers across the United States finally took measures to require face masks in order to enter their stores. It was, without a doubt, a good business decision in addition to being the right thing to do. These retailers took these measures to ensure the safety of their employees first and foremost, but they've also calculated that the faster that we are able to reduce the spread of COVID, the faster we can truly reopen our society and they can truly get back to business. However, the move was a wake-up call for many people, and it absolutely shed light on the fact that the simple act of wearing a mask drastically reduces the possibilities of spreading COVID. It's just a thing. I mean, it's not rocket science. It's science, but not rocket science. It's basic science, like, ninth grade biology science. So for my part, all it took was one trip to the store where I forgot my face mask and had to cruise on back home to get it. There's my little Jimmy Buffett reference. And now I have face masks stashed all over the place, in my car, in my backpack, in various parts of the house, just in case. I actually have more face masks on the way. I've got some cool ones that I ordered just for fun. Recently, however, I watched a spate of videos where people were entering grocery and retail stores and were refusing to mask up. And then when they were confronted by the management of the store, they launched into angry, hate-filled tirades when they were told they couldn't enter. Some of these people, thankfully, have lost their jobs. Like they lost their jobs because of like some of the stuff that they were saying and being racist and being an idiot and stuff. They lost like lucrative jobs, which is as it should be, man. You got to be, you got to watch yourself. You got to check yourself before you wreck yourself in this day and age, because somebody's always watching and maybe videoing you on their phone. And that's exactly what happened. So it's hard for me to feel charitable, obviously, toward those who seem to have so little regard for the well-being of others that they would not be willing to make the slightest concessions of their own liberty for something as noble as the common good. It reminded me of a Gaelic proverb I encountered not too long ago that goes something like this: "Nothing is easy for the unwilling." And that goes for that lands on all of us, man, but here's the thing. As I watched those videos, I had an unexpected epiphany that softened me a bit. I realized that underneath all of their anger, bluster, and speeches about their personal freedom, they were afraid. And they were grieving. And they were sad, just like the rest of us. It's no excuse for their lack of regard for others, mind you, but still, I suddenly saw them differently. There are a lot of Americans who are hurting and afraid right now. And there are so many of us who are finding ourselves at odds with one another as a result of that hurt and that fear. We need to learn to see one another better and to learn how to forgive and how to heal. If we don't, we will learn nothing from our shared experiences through this crisis we all face. I was reading Bishop Desmond Tutu's excellent book that's on forgiveness. And something that he wrote really spoke to me. He wrote about the origins of the African word Ubuntu and what it had to teach us about our shared humanity. This is what it said. I'm going to put it up on the stream. The word literally means humanity. It is the philosophy and belief that a person is only a person through other people. In other words, we are human only in relation to other humans. Our humanity is bound up in one another, and any tear in the fabric of connection between us must be repaired for us all to be made whole. We are all connected, and our own true humanity is inextricably connected to those around us. Realizing this enables us to see others through the lens of grace, no matter how difficult that might be. It enables us to see past someone's poor behavior or their jarring reactions and to bring into focus the brokenness and fragility that created them. In other words, we see them as Jesus sees them. Jesus had a way of looking past the persona and seeing the person. He often did this with people whose behavior was extremely objectionable, like prostitutes and tax collectors, overly religious people, extreme nationalists, and even Romans. If a majority of people who claim to be followers of Jesus began to understand this, to internalize it, and then to live it, it just might spark a revolution and be the impetus for the restoration of our shattered and divided country. Imagine if the majority of people who claim to be Jesus followers began to see like Jesus sees. Imagine how it could change our society, even the world. It begins with you and me, though. We need to become the change we long for. We have to begin to see others like Jesus, and we have to internalize the truth of that glorious word, Ubuntu. May it be so, and may the grace and peace of our Lord Jesus Christ be with you now and always. Amen. This is in no means sort of a manifesto of like ignoring people's bad behavior. You shouldn't ignore their bad behavior. You should see through it, right? I mean, you have to call people out on their bad behavior when their behavior is affecting other people or it is affecting the world, right? And so we need to be honest, and we need to speak truth to power, and we need to speak the truth to one another, and we need to stand up for what is right and just, and we need to do those kinds of things as followers of Jesus, which is what Jesus did. But what Jesus knew was that if you could transform the person, if the person could see that they are cherished and loved, and that love is for everyone and not just them, when they began to really see that, when they see outside of themselves and they lose their fear and they lose all of those kinds of attachments, then they can be changed and they can become something different. Look, for example, at his own followers, his disciples. You know, they had zealots, which were nationalists. They were extreme nationalists for the Jewish people. That were willing to do whatever it took in order to, have to be on top, to bring Israel back to its prominence at any means necessary. And they had no room for anybody else. They had no room for Gentiles. They had no room for people who were unclean, people who were outside of all of the community's sort of standards. I mean, these were seriously, hardcore people. And there were at least two of them that were his followers. He had a tax collector as a follower who was a Roman collaborator, right? Who had assimilated into Roman culture and had benefited from it. That was Matthew. So the list goes on, right? Of, the people that became followers. Mary Magdalene, who many believe was a prostitute. The overly religious people that he hung out with. Simon the leper. He went and had dinner at a guy's house whose name was Simon the leper. I mean, you didn't hang out with lepers in those days. So, I mean, it's Jesus saw through all of this stuff and saw the person and knew that if he transformed the person, if they could be transformed, it would change everything. So that's what I long for. We don't excuse bad behavior, but we love others, and we try to see the world through Jesus' eyes, and that's going to get us through. That's going to change the world. Okay, guys, have a great day. Looking forward to seeing y'all tomorrow. We'll have an absolute fun fest. I don't know if I'll sing tomorrow. That was a special treat for Monday morning. I was feeling my oats. And the funny thing is, I've still got some issues with my back and my neck and my tension and everything, but having one treatment changed everything for me. I didn't realize how badly I felt. I was walking around with a ton of pain all the time, and it was really wearing on me. What you saw here was me doing what I love, and I was excited. But then when I would be done and the adrenaline was gone and I'd walk out, I would feel that pain again. It's been really, really hard, not sleeping well, all the rest of it, man. And so that was a blessing. And so I'm feeling like myself again, which is great. That just feels great to feel like myself. Anyway, I will see you guys tomorrow. It's going to be a great day today. Be blessed. Be a blessing to others. Find something to do that gives you joy today, and spread the good news, man, because the news is good. And that news that's good is that Jesus is alive and Jesus is moving and Jesus is making all things new. Have a great day.